Hi Gemini, welcome to a special reading. This is for twin flames and this is for September and October 2019. It felt awkward coming out of my mouth like that. So I don't think I've ever done a reading like this before. I think I've done like a soulmates type of reading, but I decided to do this. I think I've been wanting to do it for a while, and I've seen other people do it. I've never watched it because that's not my thing, but I know that they are popular, and I thought it would be kind of fun. I kind of resisted it because I don't know much about twin flames, but I found this great resource. And this was, I think this was on Pinterest or something, but where I got it from was just by looking it up. The website is emeraldlotus.ca, which I believe is Canada. And I just wanted to read two little brief paragraphs that kind of give information about twin flames, and this person sourced it from other websites, I'm sure. One of them is called soulevolution.org, the paragraph that I'm about to read. Twin flames are the other half of our soul. We each have only one twin, and generally after being split, the two went their separate ways, incarnating over and over to gather human experience before coming back together. Ideally, this happens in both of their last lifetimes on the planet so they can ascend together. So you probably haven't had many lifetimes with your twin. Each twin is a complete soul, not a half a soul. It is their task to become more whole, balancing their female and male sides and ideally becoming enlightened before reuniting with their twin. The reunion is of two complete and whole beings. All other relationships through all our lives could be said to be practice for the twin, the ultimate relationship. Okay. And then that was from soulevolution.org. And then there's another little paragraph from Alpha Imaging, whatever that is. When twin flames do incarnate together, the coming together is often chaotic and stressful, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Their relationship is very intense. The romantic, loving version we all think of is really for twin souls, which I thought was interchangeable with twin flames, apparently not. Twin flames come together as two mirrors of each other. They are there to reflect back to each other the truth of themselves. What is reflected is not only the beauty of themselves, but also their imperfections, attachments, and emotional baggage. So, I'm only doing this because some people may click on it without knowing much about, what exactly this is entailing. So, I got this spread from this Emerald Lotus.ca. It's called Emerald Lotus Divination, I guess, is the name of the company or whatever the business. So I'm going to lay out the cards and then I will tell you what each position means. If you don't see all the cards on the table, it doesn't mean anything. I'll still hold them up, but just the nature of my tripod and all that jazz. So it is what it is. I think I got this for, was it Libra or something? Yeah. I guess I could put it closer. Okay. So, the first card represents your energy with this person. It says represents our energy. So the two of you. Queen of Swords. So Queen represents the water element. So we have water and air. Is that person a water sign? I did get the star card, so I was wondering if they were an Aquarian, because there's a lot of swords energy in this reading, and I know your swords, Gemini, but I was wondering if maybe they were as well. But anyway, the Queen of Swords to me means that the relationship doesn't, never veers into like pure emotion, where there's always that sense of detachment. And I personally think that's a good thing, because it does represent balance, the head and heart. So I don't know if every twin flames situation is full of drama and as intense as they claim it is, but in your case, you might have less drama perhaps than the typical twin flames situation. Maybe you are more balanced in that sense. It's funny because I think of Gemini, and I think maybe Gemini is the ultimate in wanting, or can vibe with that idea of the twin flames, because you are the twins, right? So maybe this idea of like your better half, or another, like having a twin like that, even if it's in that context, is very appealing to you. So it's something I had wanted to tell you. Okay, the second card is what our purpose is together in this lifetime. We have the Four of Pentacles. This is not the first time. I've only done a few of these so far, but for Libra, I got something very similar. Maybe it's a Libra person who is your twin flame, where it was this earth energy. And I thought that was kind of odd, What this card would represent is that you and this person are here to do something that has that lays down a foundation of some sort with the number 4, and is tangible. So this could be you have to look at it symbolically, because if I say you're meant to create an empire together or something like that, because the Four of Pentacles is about somebody who's able to manage money in a very sound way. Well, I don't want to put it on that mundane level of interpreting it literally. I want you to look at the higher version of that, and what that could possibly mean, because when we think about it, we think, well, okay, is this really what this person is supposed to do? Well, we are here in this world, so there is this playing with material energy. So it doesn't mean that it's not spiritual if I say something that has to do with, well, you're here to learn how to take material resources and manage them to your best ability. Because you would say to me, well, what's so important about that? And what I would say is that this is something that it goes beyond just the physical, because if people are able to save money, for instance, that's showing some restraint. That's showing that you're able to hold off on things, that you don't have to be impulsive, that you can wait, you can wait to save until you have enough, so then you can delay your gratification. And how that helps you, I mean, these are all qualities that we practice with material energy, but they help our souls to expand, or our, whatever you want to call it, our consciousness to expand. Because when you are impulsive and you just do everything in the moment and you never think about tomorrow, it creates a lot of superficial tendencies. And this is something that definitely that Gemini, your sign, has to contend with, where you tend to, like, even just with your ideas, you know, one day you want to do one thing, the next day you want to do another, but you have to focus. And so this is focusing your material energy, kind of consolidating it, and learning how to increase its power by your ability to know how to shape it. And, you know, so this is the card of sound money management. And so, I mean, there's many different possibilities, but I think it's a very interesting kind of a thing to talk about. I did get the Hermit card, so maybe this is a Virgo individual. Who knows? Okay, and they can certainly help you with that if that's something that you need to deal with. Okay, the third card is an important lesson we must learn in this lifetime. And this is this. And this is a perfect card for, you know, twin flames, because we have the 2 as the couple as well as the cups. So that's indicating something more emotional. And so this is a card of reunion and forgiveness and things of that nature. And I think, like, perhaps, you know, the twin flame situation in general is one of those things that is really fraught with a lot of reunions from what little I have read on it, because I remember reading something where they said there can be a lot of separations. And they kind of gave this idea that it was kind of like a test of the people, you know, to come together and then break apart. And so the 2 of Cups, especially with forgiveness, that seems to be something that is going to come into play with both of you. And being able to see beyond somebody's actions, even if they're hurtful, and to see the love that resides there, and to remember that we're all human. Even though we are spiritual beings having a human experience, we still are human in this moment. And our spiritual sides are there, are present, but they're not, sometimes they get clouded over. And the more generosity of spirit you can have towards other people's shortcomings, possibly the better off you'll be. Now, that makes me wonder if you have a lot to forgive. I don't know. I guess it's going to be different for every couple. But yeah, so that's the other thing. Also, you know, I should say too that the 2 of Cups is about commitment, not just about forgiveness, but about commitment. And for you, Gemini, this is kind of a sore subject because you're a mutable sign and you're ruled by Mercury. So you love, you know, novelty. You love variety. And anything that is too predictable, too kind of, you know, rote, you're not going to resonate with that. A mercurial nature can really change. Even your demeanor can change. And this means that you look for that in the other person. And yet, commitment, just like I was talking about with the 4 of Pentacles and talking about consolidating your material resources, on the emotional level, if you're just kind of like flirtatious all the time, having light affairs all the time, there can, again, be that sense of the superficial where you never really crystallize your emotions into one thing, where you're not investing into one thing, consolidating. It's kind of like being spread too thin. And that leads to more shallow, unsatisfying relationships. So that might be something that both of you have to learn, or perhaps you have to learn and the other person has to learn to be patient with you if you have a hard time committing. And let's see, so that was number 3. Number 4 is how we can grow through this lesson. Page of Pentacles. Now, again, with the Pentacles, we're talking about down to earth. Things that are tangible. Pages are communications. It's kind of funny. To me, I'm almost thinking of a marriage contract, because you might be the kind of person, Gemini, that would rather live with somebody than get married legally because, specifically because you don't like contracts, even though Mercury rules, specializes in contracts. You might just shy away from them. But that might be the one way for you to practice commitment, by having this tangible thing. Because I've always been adverse to that myself. And I've been in a very long-term relationship, but never gotten married because I don't like that idea. But for people but I don't feel like, it's hard for me to commit. But if you feel like you have a hard time committing, maybe those are the people that should get married for sure, are the people that need that kind of tangible evidence that they have agreed to remain monogamous in a relationship, and that they're going to devote their lives to this one person. That's one aspect of it. Also, in terms of any kind of material goals, write it down, because that will organize your thoughts and your plans. Number 5. What our lives look like after completing this lesson. The Hermit. The Hermit is a card of contemplation. So it's almost like you delve into this kind of this material interactions, and then it allows you to take care of your spirit, to kind of go off. By the way, the Four of Pentacles can be, building up your financial reserves so that you can have that ability to kind of check out of the, the rat race. And, because Gemini, you are this person who's capable. You're like this chameleon. And so you may go into that beast mode of amassing money and then go into hermit mode. And I think that you're the kind of sign that can, don all these different hats. And I know that Geminis love freedom, so money can equal freedom for you. And then that freedom is for you to just simply be, for you to just observe nature, observe your inner self, or kind of like do a lot of self-reflection. And you may spend a lot of time in solitude, in other words. Okay, number 6. Something we can do to strengthen our bond. I got this for the exact same position. I can't remember what sign it was. And it's like weird because it's like, what? Three of Swords. Oh, I think it was Taurus. But I think for you, it would be that if you're like on again, off again, you may want to just cut that person loose if they are involved with somebody else, because the Three of Swords can also be a third party situation. And you may, I mean, this may be what is going on with the Two of Cups, Gemini, that this other party has, unless this is you, of course, but this other party may have a hard time choosing between you and the other person. And you may be kind of like content to just be the side person. But because you may, you know, in a weird way, I think probably a fair number of Geminis attract this type of scenario, regardless if it's a twin flame situation. But just because you love your freedom so much, you may not really want that 24/7 type of relationship. That might be something that is a little bit uncomfortable for you. So you kind of say, well, you know, whatever, I'll just accept the situation as it is for the time being, and then it just keeps going on and on. You would probably want to just cut it off, not be out of punishing the person, but saying, you know, it looks like you're involved with that other person. When you're done with that person, you know where to find me. And I think that, you know, when I'm just going to show you, you know, looking at that Two of Cups, the ability to see beyond, you know, a person's weakness. If you're dealing with somebody who has a hard time making up their mind, or maybe they are very committed to the other person's well-being and they don't want to hurt that person, whatever their particular rationalization for what they're doing, if you stay in that situation, it's going to create like another world where it's like you're not here and you're not there. And that's not necessarily helpful for your evolution. And that will not help that person, you know, make up their mind. Because the Two of Cups can be that too. It's like, I have to make a decision in love. And that person may have that problem in other areas of their life as well, where they're always kind of torn between wanting two different things. And so that's one of the possible interpretations of the Three of Swords. It's just like cutting it very decisively and letting that person go. But we're not saying letting them go forever. We're just saying in this moment in time, if they are involved with somebody else. The seventh position is a way that we can heighten our vibration. How am I going to spin this one? This kind of a weird card. Five of Swords. Now, typically the Five of Swords relates to slander, you know, backbiting. So I'm going to read this card as the way that you strengthen your vibration, and I know this is true for Gemini, is that you refrain from gossiping. And by extension, any kind of negative talk about others outside of their presence, and even like judgments, because whatever is going on in your life, you don't want to be like a two-faced person. That's one of the shadow elements of a Gemini, is kind of like, the toxic communication. And so you want to be a person who is full of integrity with their communication. And I would, by extension, say your thoughts, not just your actual utterances. In the book The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, one of the agreements he mentions is be impeccable with your word. And I would say that that's also because number 5 is connected to Mercury. So it's about standing for something. You know that saying, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And so I'm getting this consistent message here of consistency, consistent message of consistency. Because of the Pentacles, the number 4 of the 4 of Pentacles, and this card, I mean, that's almost like a cautionary tale, the 5 of Swords, where you might have a tendency, Gemini, to say different things to different people and not have like a consistent message or communication style. And so this is important for both of you in order to rise to a higher level. Because, it's funny, people don't really think too much about even like small talk when you're out in public or talking on the phone. It's so funny because I'm always observing people and how they relate, and it's always kind of slightly humorous when somebody is on the phone and they're like on public transportation and they're like screaming into the cell phone because they're having a fight with somebody and they just are losing it. And or even just having like these unnecessary conversations that Gemini, you really love to talk, but sometimes you might talk incessantly. And when you talk incessantly, your mind cannot be meditative. It's like the monkey mind. So you don't want to be that kind of person. I'm sorry, I'm distracted because I'm trying to turn on this. This is going to go off in about a minute. Okay, there, good. There we go. Yeah, so being able to, for both of you, even if you're like, let's say you're both air signs, like the other person's is an Aquarius or something, and you could talk for hours, but being kind of conserving that so that you are more like the hermit, where you're kind of more contemplative. Then, when you start running your mouth, you're externalizing your energy, is basically what I'm trying to say. Okay. 8, something that my twin is mirroring for me. So their behavior is mirroring back to you, number 8. And that was this one because I had to put it to the side. The Star card. Okay, so the other person is mirroring to you a faith in unseen forces. Okay, that's what the Star card represents. Sometimes it can represent loved ones who have crossed over, who are helping you, guiding you, showing you the way. Now, if this other person is a water sign like a Pisces, this comes natural to them. They have, it's everybody, from what I understand, everybody has intuitive gifts or abilities, but some people, it just comes naturally, just like a Gemini person, it comes naturally for you to express yourself in a manner that can be very entertaining for people, or where where you have the gift of gab, compared to, let's say, a Taurus person or something like that. Now, that's strictly going by sun sign. A Taurus person who has Mercury in Gemini could be really good at it themselves. I'm just talking about sun sign archetypes. Now, a water sign person is going to naturally have this intuitive feeling kind of a way that they go about life. That person may naturally even sense energy more than you. You may be more in the mind. And that person can help you by, well, I'm trying to think of mirroring. Yeah, because then the last card is what I can do to help my twin reach their highest potential. So I'm assuming what they mean by mirroring is that they're kind of providing something for you to reflect upon. But, because, the ninth card, it seems like you doing it back to them. Because sometimes mirroring can be, they're showing you something within yourself. But if that's the case, it's something that maybe you're not aware of on a conscious level, and they're kind of bringing it out in you, to just get to transcend the intellect and to realize that you don't need proof, in this 3D kind of way of very dense energy to be able to believe that something is on its way or could happen. So anyway, that's that. And then the ninth card is, oh boy, what I can do to help my twin reach their highest potential. And this is the Queen of Wands. This is a combination of the feminine and the masculine. And you see, I say this all the time just because it just kind of like irks me a little bit that this is not supposed to be Leo. But somebody wrote to me and said that they read that it was Leo. It is fire energy, but I read that it was Sagittarius, but she's holding a sunflower, so what's up with that? But it's supposed to be like one of the common interpretations is a woman who is like a woman who works, who has a career, but she's also a mother. So it's combining the nurturing of a child with the nurturing of one's creative output in the world, which is, being an entrepreneur, having your own business, being in, a career, okay? And why would you mirror that to somebody else? Well, perhaps your twin is more to one side or the other. So in other words, either they want to just be totally at home or they want to be totally in the world. And, totally doing something for themselves, but not necessarily taking care of others. So if you show that balance, that you can balance both sides of life and both sides of the feminine and the masculine, that can help them to not just kind of be too much in one versus the other, too much in the passive or too much in the aggressive side. And also the Queen of Wands is a very uplifting type of an energy, very confident, but also very cheery and cheering other people up. So if you're with somebody who is more, I don't know if I'd say melancholy, but they might be more pragmatic, or they're kind of dry in their emotional output. So for instance, especially if they are an earth sign, you can show them that you can be both. You can have that sense of empowerment, but not lose that caring demeanor. And you can help them to kind of be more self-expressive. I think that's a big one as well. And creative, just creative too. Okay, that's what I have for you, Gemini. I hope that you enjoyed this. I am enjoying this quite a bit. So in any case, I went on for 35 minutes. Oh my goodness. If you'd like a personal reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.